Welcome to the Infinite Potential podcast. My name is Sean Klein. I've been a QiGong meditation practitioner for over 25 years now, and always driven by a very deep, very powerful interest in all things related to the human condition. So this is podcast number one, and we're going to discuss throughout these podcasts a variety of topics, and the intention to bring greater clarity and understanding to allow for access to greater peace. This is very important to me and something I feel everybody needs more of at this particular moment in time, especially. So today we're here with Matt, and Matt has a few questions, and these are fairly common questions that I've seen over the years throughout a lot of my students. And so I'd like to address these, bring some greater clarity to these and better understanding to allow, again, at heart, a greater access to understanding and peace that can benefit everyone in a lot of different ways. So, Matt?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me today, Sean. I'm personally here because I'd love to just hear about QiGong and meditations. My mother is a Reiki shaman, and from a young age I've been told all about it, so I'm really interested. And my first question really is, what made you drawn to your meditation journey or just fall in love with everything?
So, it's an interesting question because I first really fell in love almost instantly. I could really truly say that there was no particular reason in the beginning. It was as simple as I had come across it at a young age. I was about 12, maybe 13. And as soon as I discovered it, I instantly felt like I was home. It was a calling from such a deep level inside that there was no outside or mental factors that were really involved.
Was it when you started practicing it, or just when you first saw people meditating, you were like, I need to do that, I need to...
So the first exposure was reading a book. Reading a little bit about it. At that time, obviously the internet was not what it was today, so the only real information out there was people and the books that they wrote. So it was just ultimately, initially, the discovery of that book, which then set me on a course of learning and deepening that understanding, and most importantly, practicing.
Wow, so through practicing, what was the first things you realized that meditation brought to you? Like, what did you learn through your journey?
So, in the beginning, and one of the themes that I would say carried through and still does to this day is that ultimately the way that we process our experiences and our environment and all the various things that we would refer to as external factors ultimately are connected to through our internal world. And by understanding, not just informationally, but allowing that information to guide you towards a different way of relating to yourself, will completely and can completely transform how you process those so-called external experiences. And ultimately, that is the only place where you can truly access peace.
So peace is your reactions. Is it not who you are? Like, you're not peace, it's the way you react to what happens to you in your life.
Who you are and how you react to or respond to the variety of things that pass through your life is, to me, the same thing. Yes, you are peace. The question is, how much access do you have to who you really are? We tend to get confused because the mind is powerfully overused. And so we develop a lot of stories, we develop a lot of ideas, we develop a lot of concepts, and ultimately these things filter our experience of reality. And so beneath all that is you, the real you, and that is peace. So peace is not so much something that we create or something that we force upon ourselves in some way. Peace is what's there when you connect to and rebuild a relationship to the deepest part of who you are.
So meditation, what you're saying is meditation allows you to find who you really are, not the person that you show people, is because there's a difference between those, right? The person that you show people and who you are.
There's a huge difference, typically. And yes, you can definitely say that. Meditation is who you are, okay? The state of meditation is what's there, okay, beneath all of the nonsense that has distracted us from what's actually there. The clarity to see through, and not informationally, but the clarity to see through the filter and the ideas and the concepts that have become so thick, so heavy, that we become very stuck in the idea of who we are with no real sense or connection to who we actually are.
So I have just a lot of confusions about, because I've heard a lot of different things about meditation. I feel like now with the day of knowledge and how just the internet, everyone knows everything apparently. What actually is meditation? Because I've heard a lot of different meanings, and I'd like to hear it from you as what you think meditation really is.
So meditation is. So in other words,
Okay.
meditation is not a particular thing. It's not something that we do. And everything that we do ultimately should be in support of our meditative experience. So, in other words, most of us are always doing something. We have both inside and outside, all this variety of thoughts and feelings and experiences and goals and all these things that we want to do. We want more of this, we want less of this, we want to get here, we want to go there, we want to feel this, we don't want to feel that. So there's ultimately a variety of judgments and positions that we take. Meditation is when there is no more position, when you can simply open yourself and completely allow for everything to be exactly as it is. It's not so much a change in the thing itself, but a change in your relationship to the thing itself. So you and everything that relates to you no longer becomes something that you need to change or fix or make like this or make like that. It is a true and ultimate standing in the still point and the center of it all, and allowing everything to be exactly as it is so that it can be seen with ultimate clarity. For example, the easiest example, right? We have a glass of water. If there was mud in this glass and we stirred it up, that water would become very unclear, right?
Yeah.
Anything that we would try and do from that point would simply stir up more mud and result in less clarity. However, if it can be still, if we can allow for it to be as it is without involving ourselves in it, without attaching to it, and simply let it be, it will settle and become clear.
That was a perfect explanation, and I love how you involved just being still with the water glass. That really opened my mind to like the possibilities of meditation. And if I do meditation and I practice and I become meditation, I have issues with attention. Will that help me see things more clearly for what it is and just be more present?
So nowadays, especially, I mean, I think it's probably always been common to a degree, but nowadays, especially, issues with attention are everywhere. We're surrounded by a very excessive variety of distractions, and ultimately, again, just to clarify, the things that we do that are in support of our opening to meditation can be very important depending on particular individual in their particular place and where they're at in their path. So there are things that we do, for example, to ultimately, though, stay oriented in the fact that we're moving towards being and allowing. So in terms of attention and the training of attention, there's a couple of different factors. And this is...
So attention can be trained. You can work on this to get better.
You absolutely can.
Like you can't use it as a crutch as saying, I have horrible attention, there's nothing I could do. You could work on this.
Absolutely. Like anything else. It would be the same thing if somebody turned around and said, well, I can't go to the gym because I can't bench press 400 pounds. That's clearly, for anybody, because it's a physical example, that's clearly so backwards, right?
Right, yeah.
If you could bench press 400 pounds already, you probably would be less necessary for you to show up at the gym.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing in the training of attention. It can and should and is very important that it be developed, much like anything else. And in the training of attention, and this is a very important factor, a major part of that is that we have been so clogged up, we have been so constricted, there's so much bracing and contraction and tension at very deep layers and levels within our body and our being, that we can no longer sit deep within ourselves and allow for everything to be connected to and settle back into the core of our being. And so this lack of grounding leads to, there's no other way, a mind that is constantly being spun around and pulled here and pulled there, because it simply does not have the stability to settle back down and in.
So does this involve our thoughts or our just awareness to like feeling things? Are they connected, our thoughts and how we act?
So thoughts, and that's a fantastic question. Thank you for that opportunity to clarify that, because this is very important. Thoughts are a result. Thoughts ultimately are not the issue. The issue is deeper than that, and we see the result, so it's a little more obvious to us. You know, we have the experience, a lot of us, of being in this condition where the mind just simply will not stop, and it feels like we cannot stop it. But that's a result. And that's a result of a few different things. And you mentioned one that's very important, the difference between thought and awareness. There is a very deep need to come to an experiential understanding that thought and awareness are two different things.
Like, I could be aware of something and not be thinking about it. Just like I could be thinking about something and not be aware of it. Is that the clarification that
Yeah, you can absolutely say
Yeah.
that. There's, it's interesting because we've all had the experience where you're doing something and you get so lost in what it is that you're doing. And then at the same time, and in those moments, the thoughts are not as harassing, right? And then we've had the experience on the other side where we simply cannot pull our attention away from thoughts. And the reason that this is so important is, think of it like this, okay? I could take you to a beautiful castle, right? Imagine this massive, gorgeous castle, beautiful grounds. Everything is absolutely amazing. And you come into the castle, you walk in, you go into the bathroom, and you put your face into the corner of the wall in the bathroom. And you will become and can become so fixated on that one little piece that it gets so overblown, so expanded that that's all you see, and you completely miss anything and everything else that's around you. Okay? The difference between thought and awareness can only be seen when you can begin to separate and not be so captured by the thoughts, because the condition for most people, the condition that's become kind of standard, is so much of our attention has been preoccupied by thought that we have expanded and overblown that one aspect of ourselves to the point that we do not recognize anything else about us. Everything is seen through that lens.
Wow, I never really thought about how important it is to open your mind to things and to just, I never thought that thinking and awareness, I always thought that they were interconnected. And just if I was aware of something I was thinking, but just speaking to you really has helped me open my mind to that. And because I know I struggle with this a lot, my thoughts really, I feel like I'm attacked by my thoughts sometimes. Like, I'm not speaking nice about just myself. How can I help better my mental health through meditation and controlling thoughts and awareness?
So, meditation, by having actually practiced, very important, because it is not, you are not going to be saved by information. We need to return back to our bodies, back to a centered and grounded condition. Again, thoughts being a result. Ultimately, and this is something that you can learn very clearly through the actual practice of a good QiGong system, okay, not just grabbing an exercise here and there, but an actual system. You learn that ultimately all of your condition, all of how you exist in this world is ultimately just about how much life force you can access, open up to, the frequency, the vibration of that life force, and the quality and how balanced it moves through you. Okay? So your thoughts being a result of the way that your energy body is functioning is critical to understand, because you can get trapped in trying to change the thoughts themselves and kind of like a hamster on the wheel, spend a lot of time getting nowhere.
Yeah, I've been there.
And a lot of people have, and I've seen it myself. Or you can understand and learn to go direct to the energy, transform that, and watch everything that it's connected to, which is everything, transform as a result.
So what are some practices that I would be able to do if I wanted to go home tonight and start slowly bettering myself and my attention and thoughts, and just distincting the difference between thoughts and awareness?
So in the beginning, and this really is something for everybody, this is ultimately the most important starting point to keep everything that you're doing grounded and actually embodied. And the beginning of that is reconnecting and reestablishing a relationship with your inner world, with your body, with your ability to feel and not be lost in thought. So quite simple, not necessarily easy, but quite simple, is to initiate this process by beginning to redirect attention from paying attention to your thoughts to paying attention to your actual felt sense within the body. This will begin to bring your inner world back to life, to reestablish, reconnect, reopen, so that the life force can begin to move through you. And then, of course, deepening this relationship and this connection.
So, is there like a time frame that I should be doing this? Should I do it in the morning? Should I do it at night?
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
24, like all the time. Like,
so,
I'm having trouble grasping.
Listen, totally understandable. In time, it becomes clear. What I mean is that is a return to our natural condition. The way most of us exist, even though it's normal, is not natural.
Wow.
The distortions, the complete overlay of the mind on top of reality that distorts, disturbs, confuses, and muddies up the totality of our perception is not supposed to be in charge. You are supposed to be in charge, and you are not that mind. And so the official practice can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 hours, 10 hours. In the beginning, it's ultimately whatever's comfortable for you. It should be done, of course, from the moment you wake up to set yourself for the day. Can come back to it throughout the day, and can be done again, of course, in the evening to clear away some of the accumulations of the day. But the purifying, releasing, and reopening of our inner world, again, we have inside of us, inside of our bodies, such a level of tension that we have accumulated for a variety of reasons in a variety of ways that have clogged us up like a pipe. And a clogged up pipe doesn't work too well. And so a lot of the complaints, symptoms, the issues that people are facing and that they're dealing with are simply a direct result of a clogged up pipe, so to speak. And so going into your body, feeling through your body, which we'll do a 5-10 minute thing at the end to help establish an actual structure.
Okay.
But the understanding, the clarity of what it is that you're doing is very important. You are not here to accumulate new information. You're here to reorient your understanding to allow you to form a different relationship and act in a different way with, to, and from yourself.
I've heard a lot of people speak about this. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this because I love the way you're describing everything right now. Would you consider like grounding? I hear people talk about grounding yourself, and I heard you mention it a little bit, like slightly earlier. What is grounding to you, and does that help you get to that inner self that you're talking about?
Grounding is the only way to access that inner self.
So it's the only way.
It is the only way, and it's two sides of the same coin, because accessing that inner self is grounding. Now, there's the word grounding that exists in different forms, walking barefoot on the grass, for example, which is fantastic, by the way.
Okay, yeah, we should definitely start doing that.
And that's a form of grounding. But what I'm referring to here is more about becoming aware of, establishing a connection to the deepest inner aspect of your being, which is who you really are, which is your ground, which is your root, and without which you are simply running around like a chicken without a head. And returning back to your root, reestablishing that connection, that is the beginning of your ground. And as you begin to access some of those deeper root energies and working through them, working through reopening, reconnecting, purifying, and transmuting and transforming those frequencies, because they are your root, and ultimately everything is directly connected to them, they also have the power and the potential to transform everything else. Much like if you have a tree, you don't just water a leaf, you water the roots. And by watering the roots, the whole entire tree is nourished.
So let's say I'm the roots of my inner self is the roots of who I am. Let's say the leaves on the tree, are those the emotions that I feel? I know you talk about energies and emotions interchangeably. Is that correct, or they're similar? Because I hear you talking about energies like I hear someone talking about emotions.
Emotions are energies,
Okay.
at heart, on one side. On the other side, we have a lot of stories and ideas around the feelings that we have, which turn them into whatever we choose to turn them into. They are, though, at heart, energy. And most of the emotional difficulties that people deal with or face are simply mismanaged, misdirected movements of energy throughout their inner being, throughout their body. And as you start to reopen and reharmonize these stuck and festering energies, the issues tend to dissolve away. The story that we tell ourselves about what these feelings and what these emotions mean, that's its own thing. And as you begin to reconnect with these feelings, because the story that we tell ourselves disconnects us from the actual feeling itself. Because now we jump up into our head, we tell a story about it, we wrap an idea around it, and we do not actually perceive and feel the direct thing itself.
So we get lost in our head.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now we're lost. So what does being lost lead to? Confusion, right?
Okay.
And so as we start to clarify by reconnecting and reestablishing a direct relationship, a relationship with ourselves that is not filtered through the thought-based processes of mind, but a direct experience of ourselves. And you begin to establish a relationship with the energies behind those emotions. And they naturally begin to move and flow and transform and cleanse.
Wow, I really resonated with that right there. And I started picturing a river. Would you consider that to be what you mean by flow? Just like constantly in motion?
You could think of it in that way. If you think of it, right, if you had that river, which by its nature is moving and flowing, and you dam it up, right, you're going to create pressure.
And those are the thoughts, right?
Thoughts are one way to dam it up.
Okay.
Any form of contraction. There's contraction is perceived on different levels differently. There's contraction in the body, which we can all squeeze our hands really tight and feel what that feels like, and then we can release our muscles that we're contracting and feel what that feels like. And then contraction shows up on different vibratory levels as thoughts and the attachment and contraction around thoughts. We are a variety of different energetic frequencies. The one principle though that definitely ties in with them all is that energy has two states: an open, expanded, flowing, moving state, and a contracted, tight, constricted condition. And it's not just a one for one. There's a spectrum, obviously, but ultimately the question is, in which direction are you moving? Are you conscious of that? And are you consciously in the driver's seat of that? Or are you simply a result of whatever something outside has decided?
And when you're talking about the driver's seat here, about all this flow, and if I was going through, because I go through a lot of emotions, and like we all get mad, we all get sad, is it like, should we feel it out or let it out? Or I know people talk about feel your emotions, let your emotions out, or should we just hide them or don't show them? Or is there a way of, I know you speak about, instead of trying to stop the emotion, figure out what's causing it and try and cleanse that, and then the emotion will be easier to not control but manage. Is that your mind process?
So emotions, like everything else, remember, we're nature. We're a part of nature. There's a natural process, and emotions have a natural process as well. By establishing and deepening the proper relationship to the emotions, you begin to become aware of and tune into that natural process. When you have a feeling inside, let's say, you have this feeling and your mind has a whole bunch of stories about it, what it means, whether it likes it or not, what it should do about it, and we contract around it and disrupt its natural flow, its natural movement. So yes, you need to feel the emotions. Yes, you need to allow them to flow. And you also need to not get lost in the emotions and just drown in them either. And that's part of the natural process of experiencing our emotions naturally. Those things will happen when we don't come to our inner selves with all the distorted views and opinions of the mental self, of the ideas and the concepts that have been overlaid upon our nature, and therefore lead to that distorted, confused relationship. So through that natural process, through clarifying what's actually happening, when you say anger, when you say sad, when you however you've labeled it, what is actually happening inside? What does it feel like? And not descriptively, not through words and analysis.
Just what's actually going on, not the
Yes.
story that you tell yourself in your head.
Exactly. How does it actually feel? And can you allow yourself to sit with it, to stay with it, to be with it as it is, without doing anything about it, without trying to change it, simply understanding it?
And is that the secret to meditation? And like we've all tried to meditate, and I know you especially more than anyone and do it on a daily basis. When I've done it, my mind has gone and started going all over the place. Is it just about feeling and just letting the thoughts flow and not trying to fight it and just feeling, not trying to control your thoughts? Is that what
Yes.
it is?
Yes, that is absolutely the doorway to, in order to reestablish again the natural condition, our natural state. I like to think about meditation as a very natural thing. When we are in harmony, when we are in balance, and not caught up and lost in the excessive, seemingly nonstop insanity that the mind can bring to the picture. When that's not there, you are there, and you are meditation.
Now I really understand what QiGong brings to the table and how it could just help better people. And is there a way for me to be like, if I know my brother goes through a lot, is there a way for me to be like, hey, you need to meditate? Is there a way that I could tell someone to do something, or they have to want it for themselves, and it's something very conscious that you have to do for yourself? You can't just tell someone to go through the motions and do this exercise, do that exercise, and you'll be okay. Is that not how it works?
QiGong, what's so beautiful about it is that 24 hours a day, no matter where you go, right, there you are. You are always with yourself. But how are you with yourself? Are you spending quality time with yourself, or are you sticking yourself in front of a TV or an iPad while you attend to seemingly more important things?
Right? Are you present in the moment?
Are you present?
Are you actually there, or are you just...
Are you there? Where are you, right? If you're there, are you there, or are you lost in your head somewhere else? And so QiGong ultimately, to me, I mean, we can get into specifics and definitions, and of course there's many aspects, but at heart, one of the most important aspects is that time spent training is time spent, quality time spent with yourself, your inner self, your deepest self. You can suggest to somebody to practice. Of course, it's beneficial for every single person in every single walk of life, in every single way, shape, form, doesn't matter. Everybody can benefit from QiGong, because everybody can benefit from a deeper, clearer understanding of themselves. But you can't make anybody do it.
Yeah.
And so it's always beautiful, of course, to open somebody's eyes to something. But yes, they have to want to engage with it themselves, because they need to make the choice, or they're not going to bring all of themselves and be present, which is what makes the practice what it is.
And do you have to get rid of distractions of your life to be able to practice this? Like, if I want to start QiGong, I want to be part of it, but I have many distractions. Is that going to get in the way?
So the thing about distractions is they're not really the problem. The issue is being distracted. Distractions will always be there. Life will always be there. the circumstances and all the different things that move through our environment will always be there. The issue is, how lost in them do we get? Do we use them for the tools that they can be used for? Or do we use them to distract ourselves from ourselves? If we've established a solid, centered connection to our inner world and carry that with us throughout each and every moment of our lives,
The distractions won't get to us. We won't be as distracted.
you can use the distractions in a different way. That's
Interesting.
That's
Wow.
the every tool can have a variety of uses, and it's not always the tool itself, but the person that's wielding the tool and how they use it.
So the way you use something, this, I feel very passionate about the subject. It's making me think about one of the most modern things now is social media. I personally got rid of all social media on my phone. Of course, I still use it as a digital marketer. I have it on my computer, my laptop, but I can't have it on my phone because I found that I used it as way too much. It was distracting me from being in the moment. You know, I'm talking to people I really like being around, and I'm just scrolling on social media. I got rid of that, but I also know people who use it perfectly fine and aren't always on it. What are your thoughts on social media as a whole and one of those distractions?
It's one of the best and one of the worst things that's out there, and it's not the thing itself. It's you or whoever is using that. The same way that a fire can burn everything down and burn your house down and burn you down, or it can cook your meal. So how you use it is, and how you use it
Fascinating.
is number one. The question of how you use it and what allows for one person to use it rather than be used by it is all a matter of how conscious, how aware, how connected, and how solid and grounded you are within yourself. Because this is why this is number one. Reestablishing, rebuilding, and deepening your experience, your inner world, bringing that back to life so that you can solidly center and establish yourself within. Without that, then you are simply up for grabs, and
Yep.
you're pulled here, you're pulled there. You are ungrounded.
And you people, what they say will affect you, how people look, just comparing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this really all ties together. It's just being grounded and strong in who you are protects you from those things and could be used in a healthy way.
If you think about a tree for a second, right? If you think about a tree, we've all seen a leaf that has become detached from the tree, blowing in the wind. It's carried here, it's carried there, it's carried everywhere. That leaf behaves very differently while it is still attached to that tree. It's solid. It can experience the same wind, but it does not necessarily get carried away with it. And so when you are, or anybody is disconnected from their trunk and their roots, then they are just a leaf blowing in the wind, carried here, carried there, detached from their tree.
Wow. So, I always thought that like social media had healthy implications. I just was never able to get there. Is there a way, and is it just simply boils down to being grounded and just being secured in yourself to be able to not let, just because I know there's many other distractions than social media.
There's a lot of distractions, okay? And there's a lot of things that I mean, anything ultimately can become a distraction. Just if you define distraction, I would simply define it as anything that you use as an excuse to leave yourself.
Well, let's like distractions more like addictions. Like what about, and not like something that is a distraction but then becomes an addiction? How does that play into being something? Is that you? Is that addiction a part of you? Is it something that you use? What, for people that go through like struggles, because I know there's many addictions, like substances to just something that you do too much.
Sure, and not without going into a full blown
It's a long conversation.
chemical addiction, and that's a bigger thing, although still connected, but without going that
like habitual,
route.
something you do every single day that you just don't even realize you do it anymore.
Yes, and that comes down to consciousness and awareness. It's the lack of awareness, the autopilot of running 1,000,000 miles an hour. You're not here, you're not present, you're somewhere else, and then simply running your habits on autopilot with no consciousness and no awareness, no understanding of what is actually happening. We have the story, the results, and all the ideas and the concepts around
up in
it,
your head,
all up in your head,
in the
lots
sky,
of information, which is nothing more than a model of the thing itself. It's the difference between you holding a map of a particular trail out in the woods, and no matter how well you study that map, no matter how clearly you look at that map, no matter how detailed is that map, it is not the same experience as walking down that trail and actually taking the hike.
Wow, humans are creatures of habit. We all know that. We all have things that are just habitual. That's who we are. Is meditation, QiGong, a way to just activate that, hey, I don't want to do this, I'm not going to be a habit. It's change. I want to start talking about change now because I'm curious on your opinions on change, because that's I think, the exact opposite of habit. If you're changing, it's not a habit. So,
well, I would say that when it comes to change, it's very important to include the totality of your being in that change. You simply cannot change your thoughts.
So don't lose yourself in the process.
Well, you don't lose yourself in the process, but you also understand that there's more to the process than simply thought. You can change your thoughts. You can change the words that you use that go through your head, but if you do not support that by changing the energetic function of you, then you will always be spitting in the wind, so
and
to
just
speak.
Addicted, like in quotations.
So in terms of habits, the interesting thing is that's why,
like in relationships, going back to the person that you know, it's just,
so that's why what's natural is not or no longer what's normal, because the habits that we've ingrained into ourselves, it is not natural for us to pull all of us up into our head, to pull all of our energy and all of our being up into this illusory thought process and absolutely consume all of our energy with this illusion and this incessant non-stop leakage of energy. This is not natural, but it's become a normal habit for most people. What awareness and consciousness can help to allow for is for you to understand the deeper impulses that feed that habit and how to debug, so to speak, and retrain a different habit, a habit of staying here, staying present, staying embodied and within yourself, not sending your energy up and out everywhere and anywhere, but keeping your energy within, feeding yourself, growing yourself, understanding and expanding the awareness of these various levels of what you call yourself.
So if I'm not within myself and I know we've all been there where we're tired and we get so much sleep, but we're still tired, and it's that mental fatigue. Does not being grounded and knowing yourself, like, your deep inner self, does that have health implications as to, like, because I know we've all felt that way. Is this connected?
Huge health implications. The lack of awareness around what is happening inside will have a number of different effects. So, number one, this incessant consumption of your energy by this erratic, out of control mental condition is absolutely consuming probably more than 90% of your energy. And so, of course, there's very little left over. Add on top of that the disconnect from what's happening in your inner world, and you lose the awareness of what you really need, when you need to give more energy and when you need to conserve, when you need to rest. We numb ourselves and overwork and overpush and give more than what is necessary in any particular moment.
And this is linked physically and mentally.
100%.
All aspects of health.
There's no separation. You're a total being. And your energy is going to move through your physicality, and it's going to move through your mentality. And clarity around how they relate, how they connect, and what's actually going on is critical in order for you to understand how to manage that in a balanced, centered, non-excessive way.
That was just a lot to take in.
When you have a relationship with something, right? There's a communication that's established. You begin to exchange information. If you don't have that relationship with yourself, you're missing out on a lot of information that your body, your being, is trying to communicate to you, because you're so lost in the noise of the mind that you're missing out on the actual information being transmitted through you to you.
I resonated with that completely, because I think everyone that's watching this has been there, is just beating themselves up so much in their head that they're just physically fatigued. And it was nice hearing how you just connected the two. Is like the way you think also affects the way you act and the way you feel.
There's the level of contraction, the level of blocking that you hold within yourself is like a flow of water. As you hold more and more contraction and distort more and more of the energy flow that moves through you, you create a situation where the ground of your being, right, which is responsible for everything else, which is you as an energy body, how that moves through you, how much energy moves through you, how smoothly it flows through you. As you distort all that with these inner contractions, these inner bracings and shutting downs, and you, over time, as you collect more and more of these, you plug up the whole system, and you lose the very ground of what determines how well you function, both physically and mentally. If the life force cannot move through you cleanly, if the life force cannot fill you powerfully and support you, every part of you, from your bones to your organs to your cells to your emotions and your thought processes and feelings and everything, if you are not connected, balanced, open, and supported with and by that life force, then you are separate and have separated from that life force simply through your own veiling, your own covering.
This just got me thinking, and I know we're talking a lot about like the interconnections with ourselves How about the interconnections with other people, as like we've all fallen in love and been in love with someone, or maybe been in love with someone that isn't right for us? I know it's a really confusing question, but like, what is that connection of love between someone else with yourself? And is not all love healthy? And even though you love them, is it?
I
It's
would
a really
say
deep question. It's deep.
it's a beautiful question, and I would say love is always healthy. It's just that how clear are we on what it is that we are calling love? Because ultimately, we are love. We are simply a force of divine love.
Loving beings.
We are beings of love. It's not even that we experience love or we perform love or we act with love. We are a force, a vibration of love at our innermost core, in our innermost heart. We can confuse that with an external person or some sort of external shape and form. The important aspect, if we realize that every feeling that arises, no matter what may have triggered it outside, is within us. It is our love. If you choose to share that with another person, beautiful, but that's still our love. It does not come from anyone or anything outside. And the level and depth of connection that we have with ourselves is equal to the level and depth of connection that you can allow with another being.
So we are love, and you need to love yourself to give your love. It's not like...
And to love yourself.
To love yourself.
To love yourself is to know yourself, to be with yourself. Think about it.
Understanding yourself, because I know it seems silly, but like not everyone does that.
It's huge. Love is open, wide open, no resistance, no contraction, no judgment, total and complete allowance and acceptance, which is what allows for connection. All judgment, all contraction is separation. All opening, right, is love. And so if you can be with yourself and feel yourself and be in yourself without the judgments and separations and ideas that come from the mind, that is the ultimate self-love. And that is the ultimate self-care. And through that, as you access more of the love that you are, you can share that and give that to all and everyone around you.
Wow, what I got from that is how just you need to love yourself, and that's a very important thing. But is there ever really falling out of love? Do you fall out of love with something or someone, or is the love just changed? Like, is love ever lost?
So I would say you can never fall out of love, because you don't really fall in love either. If we're talking about real love, if we're talking about the love not confused with a particular individual or a particular, person, place, or thing, right? But the love that flows out of an open heart, a free heart.
Love isn't conditional. You can't put conditions on love.
Exactly.
It's unconditional. That's what real love is, right?
Real love is unconditional. Confused love has conditions. Confused love says, okay, I love you if you do this, 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 and this. And if you don't do this, 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 or this, then I don't love you. But that's really it's just a question of when you allow or stop allowing access to love itself. The open heart is where your connection to love happens, let's say. It's accessed through the open heart. However, you can decide normally, let's say, for example, you meet somebody and then all of a sudden this something so powerful opens up so deep inside of you, and we call that love. It was always there. Now you have this trigger that has allowed for you to give yourself permission in that situation to access it. And as time goes on, or things change, or things happen, whatever it may be, you may then come to a place of saying, okay, now I'm shutting down, and now I'm no longer allowing for access to that love. And it's not necessarily that you're consciously saying that to yourself, but you go through this process of expansion where you open up. And as you open up enough that your inner heart begins to open and show you the love that's inside of it. And then for whatever reason, for whatever it may be, whether it's directly connected to the relationship itself or some other outer circumstances,
right,
whatever it may be, you start to contract again. And because, again, if you don't have conscious control, let's say, if you don't have the conscious connection, then it's at the whim of whatever's happening. And so as that contraction starts to come back in and you close off, now you say, I don't love this person anymore. I don't love this anymore. I this, I that. And it's really has nothing necessarily to do with that factor. It's an inner factor.
Well, can it be attacked, though? Like, can your love with someone be attacked and then ruined?
If you allow yourself to be disconnected from your love, because it's not your love for another person.
Okay.
It's your love that you choose to share with another person. Now,
and that could be disconnected.
You may come to a place where you say, okay, this situation is not in support of my greatest and highest good, or something along those lines, and then choose to shift and change the shape of the relationship, right? Be together, not be together, whatever. You may choose to shift that external shape of the relationship, but the question of love itself it's always there. It's just a question of how much you choose to immerse yourself and allow yourself access to love with a big L, not the small L, emotional. That's just intense. Like, I like this, I like that, I don't like this, I don't like that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Love, big love, is always right inside you, right in your heart. And ideally, you would be consciously connected to that, and then allowing for that to come forth how you see in line with yours and all of that around you's greatest and highest good.
Thank you so much, Sean. I really understand just what love is to me now, and I feel like I've always felt that way, and now you've put it in such a clear picture in my head to like really understand where I've been coming from, these feelings. And you really answered everything that I had thought of today, so I just want to say thank you so much for like answering all my questions, and they're really thoughtful, and I think I learned a lot from this, and
beautiful.
Can apply it today.
Beautiful, and thank you. I appreciate you being here, and we can take that idea of love and what we've talked about around love, and we can use that to take a few minutes now for a little meditation that everybody can engage with in a very practical aspect.
All right, amazing.
So, of course, if you're driving or somewhere unsafe, then wait until you get somewhere safe before you do this. But I'd like you now to, first and foremost, take a moment and just close your eyes and be with where you are. I don't want you to do anything or change anything. I just want you to be aware of how you feel from head to toe, what's going on inside of you. How does your head feel? How do your arms feel? How does your chest and your back feel? How does your abdomen and your lower back feel? How do your hips, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, and your feet? How does everything feel? Pay attention to it. Don't judge it. Don't try to do anything with it. If you feel tensions or contractions or discomforts, it's okay. Let it be. Let yourself be with it. Feel it. Try not to think this. Try to actually feel this. Since we spoke a bit about love, one thing you can do that can give some wonderful clarity to what we talked about. As you're sitting there and bringing your attention back into your body, your inner world, think for a moment about a time where you were in love. And it doesn't matter who or what or when or where or why. And once you've got that clear and you can feel it, and I want you to release the information, the person, the place, the thing, release the mental side of it and come into your body and feel how that feels without any ideas, without any concepts around it. I want you to feel that love and just feel it. Be with it. Allow it. And when you've done this for some time and you're ready to finish up, how long is your choice. Just take a few minutes. You can give a little self-massage to wake your body back up as you open your eyes and go for a little walk. Make sure throughout that you keep the tip of your tongue touching the roof of your mouth, just as if you were saying the word love and you kept your tongue on the L. So enjoy that. I hope everybody enjoyed that and got some wonderful benefit out of that. And we will see you again next time.